Welcome back to the channel. We're back at it again. I like wrestling. This is new era, all that good stuff. Publishing a video every day of the week for WrestleMania week. And today, I think what would be a very fun exercise is to compare WrestleMania night 1 and night 2 cards from 41 to 40. Now, again, I'm going to point this out. Disclaimer, I still personally think that they're going to add more matches. Now, this video is coming after Monday Night Raw and before SmackDown. I do think they're going to add 3 more matches, but I won't be talking about that in this video because they're not official yet. So, barring those 3 matches that may or may not get introduced, but a Randy Orton match, a Chelsea Green match, SmackDown Tag Team title match, we're going to compare the different nights and to see which one is better, right? Just have a little conversation on what do we think will be the better WrestleMania from before WrestleMania starts. So we got night 1 right here and we got night 2 right here. So now night 1 has 6 matches and night 2 also has 6 matches. The opener for night 1 was Becky Lynch versus Rhea Ripley. I do think the opener for night 2 for WrestleMania 41 will be Jey Uso versus Gunther. I don't think the build for Rhea Ripley and Becky Lynch was all that great because there was a weird situation where people were cheering for Rhea Ripley even though she was the heel, and it made a very awkward situation for Becky Lynch, although the match was great. I do think Jey Uso and Gunther has a better story at this point, and I don't think their match could be as good as this one because Rhea Ripley versus Becky Lynch was a very good match. I do think there is more to the Jey Uso Gunther match for if it opens, so I'm gonna give point WrestleMania 41. Next, we got Sami Zayn versus Gunther, and I'm going to compare that to Jacob Fatu versus LA Knight. Now, Sami Zayn versus Gunther, they were doing the entire storyline of Rocky, of Sami Zayn dethroning the giant, the big force that is Gunther, who had arguably, no, not even arguably, the greatest Intercontinental Championship reign we've ever seen. That is just was amazing, right? Compare that to LA Knight versus Jacob Fatu. Although there is a story there with the Bloodline and LA Knight, I don't think it compares to what Sami Zayn and Gunther have. So, point WrestleMania 40. Even though it's going to be a good match, I don't think it's going to be nearly as good as Sami Zayn versus Gunther, and the story's not nearly as good either. Next, let's go Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso. Compare that to the blood feud that is Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Now, in terms of story, of course, the brothers facing each other was good, although they weren't focusing on it too deliberately, considering the entire bloodline mess with Cody Rhodes, but it still was there. Like, there still was a story there. Compare that to Jade Cargill and Naomi, whose story has been fantastic, to be honest. Honestly, the history is in favor of Jay and Jimmy, but the story build is better with Jade Cargill and Naomi. And although I don't have a lot of hope for Jade Cargill in ring, hopefully it's a good match. There's no way you can go worse than Jimmy versus Jay. It was not a good match at all. So I think Jade Cargill and Naomi get the point here. So that is 2 for WrestleMania 41. Next, let's go the tag team match gauntlet to split up the tag team titles. Pair that up against the Raw tag team titles that are getting compare that to the Raw tag team titles that are being defended on WrestleMania 41. No brainer, no question. WrestleMania 40 gets the point here. Come on now, like the New Day and War Raiders build has been trash, not been good, and then this entire thing with the R-Truth and the Miz being the thorn on their side, like it's for sure. And the match was amazing, splitting the titles. It's for sure WrestleMania 40, no question. Next, we got the 6-man tag match between Bianca, Naomi, Jade Cargill versus Damage Control. Compare that to Tiffany Stratton versus Charlotte Flair. Now, it's interesting that the women's tag titles did not get defended at WrestleMania last year, but then they force it to get defended on WrestleMania this year. Very interesting decision when you really think about it. With that said, I mean, it was the big 3. It was really cool to see them kind of come out in that WrestleMania entrance. The story itself is kind of meh. The match was pretty solid for the most part. Compare that to Tiffany Stratton and Charlotte. Although the promos and story has been messy, it's been like trash TV, bro. Come on now. No way you're not entertained on how much these women hate each other. I also think the match is going to be better. Give this team WrestleMania 41. Next, we got El Grande Americano versus Rey Mysterio. Compare that to Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee versus Santos Escobar and Dominic Mysterio. I'm gonna give this to Team WrestleMania 41. El Grande versus Rey Mysterio, the two best luchadors of all time, facing each other is just a better story, man. American made, recruited a legendary luchador to take out that fraud that is Rey Mysterio. This tag team match was kind of just thrown together for Dragon Lee to get a match, and ever since then, he hasn't really been doing anything. And then it was just to see Dominic versus Ray, and then you had the Eagles, Jason Kelsey show up, and I think Lane Johnson. So, yeah, give it Team WrestleMania 41. I'm gonna be honest, WrestleMania 41 kind of cooking right now. And last but not least, we got the main event between Rock and Roman versus Seth and Cody. Compare that to Roman versus CM Punk versus Seth Rollins. This is hard, ladies and gentlemen, because both builds have been amazing and the star power for both as freaking ridiculous. And it's kind of crazy that Seth and Roman are in both, right? But then you had CM Punk, but then you have Cody and Rock, and then it had implications for. Oh boy. Let me know what you think is better in the comment section. Please let me know. Oh, this is so tough. I have to say the tag team. Oh, but I think there's something beautiful that the triple threat is isolated though. This is a tough one. I think the triple threat, the tag team match was good. There's a lot of great moments like Roman spearing The Rock. That was hilarious. And then they're using each other's moves in that match. I think the triple threat will be fantastic. I have to, because of the larger narrative, I have to say the tag team match gets it. But I do think there's an argument for the triple threat too. But right now, night one, WrestleMania 41 is leading 4-3 in the points category. We're gonna go to night two. I do think there's more matches for WrestleMania 40, but I may throw in some cheat codes, but we'll see. Let's dive into the night two matches right now. So looking at night two, actually, I forgot WrestleMania only had 13 matches, but I still think WrestleMania might have 16 matches this year because of the talent stuff. I'm actually going to drop a video tomorrow discussing the biggest problem with WWE. I kind of dropped that video already, but I'm going to kind of go in depth on like why WrestleMania is having so much issues based on the problem I talked about earlier. So go watch that video because I'm going to drop kind of like a part two tomorrow. So, all right, let's compare night two versus night two for WrestleMania 40 versus 41. Now, the opener for night two, I believe, was Seth Rollins versus Drew McIntyre. Now, I'm going to compare that to the opener that I believe is going to happen in night two, which will be Bianca versus Io versus Rhea. Now, this is tough. I think this is very goddamn close because the build for Drew and Seth has been good, but so has Rhea, Bianca, and Io. Drew was destined to win that because Seth was connected to another storyline and it was a very short match. But then the cash in, I have to throw in the cash in too. The cash in also happened here. The triple threat is also up in the air. Anyone could win. Rhea's never beaten Io. Rhea has beef with Bianca. This is tough. Which one will be better? I'm going to have to give it to point WrestleMania 40. The reason why is because the cash-in. The cash-in kind of puts it over the edge. Also, Drew McIntyre finally winning, and then his beef with CM Punk. There's just too much meat there compared to Rhea versus Io versus Bianca, but there's a lot of meat there as well. So I'm going to go WrestleMania 40. They take the point for this one. All right. Now we got the United States Championship match between Randy Orton, Kevin Owens, and Logan Paul versus the Intercontinental Championship match, Braun Breaker versus Penta versus Dominic Mysterio versus Finn Balor. Now, this feud between these three, I think the feud between the four is better. So the build for the IC title, I think, is better. I did not think Kevin Owens or Randy Orton was going to win that match too. I think Logan Paul, I kind of guaranteed he was going to retain it because Randy's a main eventer and so is Kevin Owens. So I never saw them winning. It was cool to see them beat him up at the beginning, but the match itself was fantastic. I think the Fatal 4-Ways match is going to be better. I think the build is better and it's more unpredictable. So I'm going to go the IC title match for that one. Next, we got AJ Styles versus LA Knight. And I'm going to compare that to AJ Styles versus Logan Paul. Crazy. AJ gets 2 singles feuds back to back. He deserves it. AJ Styles is great. I'm going to say AJ Styles, LA Knight. I'm going to pick that one here. Although I do think the AJ Styles versus Logan Paul match will be better. But the build and the rivalry between AJ Styles and LA Knight is better than the build for AJ Styles and Logan Paul. We kind of predicted LA Knight was gonna win. I kind of think AJ Styles is gonna win. They're pretty much even. I feel like you can go either way, but I'm more attracted to the kind of the blood feud between AJ and LA Knight. So I'm gonna go WrestleMania 40 wins that one. Next, let's go the 6-man tag team match compared to the tag titles match. Liv and Raquel versus Lyra and Bailey. Dog water trash build. The Pride, as they were called, versus the Final Testament. Also was a pretty bad build, but not as bad. So I'm gonna go WrestleMania 40 for this one. Uh, Both not great. At the very, they had Bubba. I think that was cool. It was kind of a street fight. That's cool. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go WrestleMania 40. The tag title build is dog water. Next we got Bailey versus Io. Compare that to Drew McIntyre versus Damian Priest. Now I do think, surprisingly enough, the Drew McIntyre Damian Priest build has been fantastic. It just has been. Io and Bailey was also fantastic. Come on, like Bailey got betrayed by Damage Control. Bailey won the Royal Rumble, taking on Io. The match was goddamn tastic. I do think Drew and Damian's gonna be fantastic too, but I'm also going to go point WrestleMania 40 for this one. I think their story was just better, and it was just so good for Bailey to win the title too. Yeah, I'm gonna go there. And last but not least, we got the main event: Roman versus Cody. John Cena versus Cody. Oh goddamn. This is tough. This is tough. This is tough. Like think about it. We have bloodline rules for Cody versus Roman and all the shenanigans. But we have potentially John Cena winning the 17th against Cody. Oh my god, this is so hard. I think the story was too iconic. It's too legendary. I'm gonna go WrestleMania 40, even though there's a goddamn argument for WrestleMania 41. So honestly, night 2 for WrestleMania 40 pretty much destroyed the night 2 WrestleMania 41 in terms of comparing the points. But here are the final totals for the points, right? So WrestleMania 41 had 5 points. WrestleMania 40 had 8 points. So WrestleMania 40, in terms of its totality of its matches and its build, just pretty much beat WrestleMania 41 pretty comfortably. I do think WrestleMania 41 probably will have better matches overall, but ultimately WrestleMania 40 is one of the best WrestleManias of all time. WrestleMania 41 is also a very, very good WrestleMania build, and it'll have a very, very good WrestleMania in general, but it's not fair. And it's kind of tough to compare it, but it was fun to compare it. So with that said, hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Y'all have a good one. Take care. Peace.